Hey guys, and welcome to Growing Up Desi. I'm Bhav, and tonight I'm joined by Riana. So hello, Riana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. This is all
Excellent.
amazing. I'm so grateful for being on here. So yeah, just have to extend my gratitude.
Very much appreciated. Likewise. I'm very glad you're joining me. This is going to be fun. I have to warn you, this has turned into my kind of weekly therapy session. So you're shrink of the week. And I guess to start with, and obviously we're talking about fitness and that kind of whole environment. I guess from my experience and what I've seen, and yes, maybe this is a little stereotypical, but South Asian women in general aren't really allowed to do that much. And sport is yeah, right. And sport is definitely one of those things that is frowned upon, possibly even restricted or denied to some people. And I guess whilst I was never stopped, I definitely had that frowned upon thing, as especially the more I grew up. Now you, on the other hand, were lucky. You didn't grow up in quite the same way. So you had what I'll call non-Desi parents. So what was that like for you, and what did that mean for you?
I mean, it was brilliant. Like I was pushed in the direction of sport, so it was very, very different from the Desi upbringing, and I think it was just completely different from the way my friends were all brought up as well, as in my brown friends all brought up. So yeah, just from a young age I was encouraged into doing sport. I think since I could walk pretty much, it was always like, physical, some form of physical activity, whether it was like playing outside with my brothers in the garden, or just playing cricket with them, or football or rugby, or whatever we could find, like whatever sort of equipment, or if equipment we could find in the garden, and we would just play together. And that's honestly how my kind of love for sport and physical activity started. And then yeah, I think as I got older, at school, PE was just something that I loved. It was the one thing that was out of the classroom. You wasn't sitting down, you wasn't having to focus on a teacher telling you what to do, or whatever they were doing. And you were just outside of a classroom, and you were doing something, and you were moving, and you were physically active, and I don't know, maybe it's endorphins just making you feel happy. So I think I just love that feeling. And then yeah, that was kind of like primary school. Secondary school, I picked up on a like sport on a more academic level with GCSE. So I studied PE at GCSE, and I don't think I remember many Asian girls. No, well, I can't even remember now. I don't think there weren't very many Asian girls studying GCSE PE, let alone A level, because then I went on to study A level PE, and then I went on to university and studied um, sport at a degree level. So I think it's all because, for one, my parents pushed me in that direction, and they supported me, and they knew and they recognized that I was good at something, and it was different from the standard academic. It was different from, your, I don't know, your psychology, your biology, your maths, whatever, the typical Indian
Yeah.
or brown, those
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
subjects. So yeah, they supported me in what they knew and what they could see that I was good at, and that support has led me to where I am now. And I would say for my age, and for how I feel about this, about sport and being in the sector and being a brown woman in the sports sector, I feel that it's helped me tremendously, just their support, knowing that, I've started it from a young age, and I've been able to continue it to now, and I will be able to continue it till whatever age I am. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So some jealousy questions here. So were your parents, were they sporty themselves, or was it just that they recognized it was something you enjoyed?
Yeah. Well, my mum, so she grew up in Zambia, and she played a lot of sport, namely tennis. So yeah, that was kind of her sport, and I believe she played that to an amateur level, um, through her school. So she was playing a lot of tennis growing up. There were some restrictions when she was growing up, in that she couldn't do any like competitions outside of the, I can't remember what it was, but she could do competitions as in the tournament type things. But my grandparents were a bit like, if you're going to go outside of Lusaka, which is where she grew up, they're like, nah, because that requires an overnight stay. Whereas with me, like when I grew up, so swimming was one of the sports that I did, and I did that to a highly competitive level. I was able to go to Germany to compete. I was able to go to like different parts of London and then up to North England to compete, where it would require me to stay overnight in certain places. So there was that difference in that my mum was able to compete to an extent, but not to, you know, the higher level, which would require you to be away from home. So yeah, that was my mum's sporty upbringing. I think my dad was just generally, he was just an active person anyway, so it's not that he specialized in anything or like he had a sport that he was competing in, but he was still very sporty. But I guess it's different with girls and guys and sports. So yeah, like with my parents, they were both active, so I think they're both very very open-minded people. So I think that's why, you know, I am where I am because of that.
Yeah, so I guess, so your mum kind of knows what it's like. She's been through it. She's dealt with it from her parents saying, oh, we're not necessarily going to send you there. And she's known that. And I guess she doesn't want the same for you because she's seen it. So therefore, she's not going to pass it on. That's lovely. That's very nice to hear. And yes, I am super jealous. I suppose the difference is, I suppose my mum probably wouldn't have cared, but I grew up with my grandma. Okay. And again, I guess like your mum's parents, they're different mindset, different age, different generation. And so I guess for me, I, again, grew up with my brothers. There were a lot of boys around, his friends. And I spent my time playing football because I was playing with them. And for me, it was a case of, I don't know if you ever got this, but growing up, it was always, I just got called a boy all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just like literally, if you play football, it's like boy, 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 and I'm like, okay, but I can be a girl and still like football, right? I can be sporty, yeah, right. I can be sporty and still be a girl, and I guess that gets to you, especially at that age. And when it's coming from your own family as well, it's like boy, 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 and it's like, am I doing something wrong? Is this like what is happening here? So it's nice to see that you didn't have that, and.
I wouldn't say there was like any sort of, I don't know, maybe it's like a character thing, because like with my brothers, they were never like that. I think they were just, yeah, she's another body in this game kind of thing, so we need someone else. But it wasn't, I didn't mean that in like a bad way. It's just, you know, if you're playing a game, and I think as well with my brothers, they were also very like helpful and they wanted me to learn. So with things like cricket, my older brother was really good at bowling, so he would always teach me and my younger brother how to bowl properly. So there was never any like, oh, because Rihanna's a girl, I'm not really going to teach her because she don't need to know. I'm going to teach. He was like, I'm going to teach her how to bowl, kind of thing. So maybe it's a mindset thing. And again, you know, we were all raised by my parents, so my parents we should all be treated equally and we should treat each other equally. So I don't know if that, again, with the whole non-Desi upbringing, maybe that came into play, and yeah, maybe that has something to do with it, but I don't know the ins and outs there, but
yeah. Okay, shrink, I'll let you off. I mean, I'll be honest, it still happens now. I think this is my mic. I apologize.
That's okay.
Knocking things. I'm wondering what that noise is. It still kind of isn't great, but that's okay. We'll get over that. So anyway, so yes, I guess going back to it, even as I guess it actually is more of a thing as women grow up. And is that knocking on my side or is it on your side?
It's okay. Like
is your
it's not that bad. Yeah, no, it's
okay,
bad.
cool. It's really I'm like, what is that? Sorry. So obviously as you grow up it gets worse and worse, and I'm sure the mentality ultimately comes from, well, it's always what other people think. So how do they perceive you in the community, right? And you know, you're off doing sports, maybe you should be in the kitchen making, you know, food for whatever. And I suppose the other part of it is, like you said, if you are going away, then there's that safety thing that they automatically revert to. Oh, we just want our girls to be safe. But also if you're going to like the gym and stuff, it's like, oh, that's a whole different environment.
Yes.
And there becomes a whole different thing. So what are your thoughts on this?
In terms of safety and things like that, I mean, I've done last year I did my whole thesis around South Asian women and the cultural influences that affect the sporting levels and levels of participation, within sport and physical activity. And that was probably one of the most recurring themes that came up. It was the safety for women, and it makes complete sense in that, yes, we live in a society that, you know, women do kind of worry about their own safety when it comes to going out. Like, I know personally, I train later in the evening. You know, training in the evening, kind of leaving the house, it's dark, especially in the winter, can be perceived as quite dangerous. But and I can understand how that would reflect on like specific communities and cultures and what that means and all of that stuff. So yeah, no, my thoughts on that is it's such it's also frustrating. If I'm honest, it's really frustrating because it shouldn't be something that we worry about. We shouldn't have to worry about our safety. We are literally doing the exact same thing that a man is doing. We are literally leaving the house. Exercise. We're literally doing the same thing as you, but yet we have to worry about our safety, and we have to think about our route there and back. Think about, you know, if we see, you know, a group of people behaving suspiciously, we have to worry about walking past them, or potentially think of it like another route to go home and being tactical. It's just that's how I honestly feel. I just feel frustrated by the whole thing.
I'm sure you're not the only one.
But I feel like
no, so I was just going to ask, sorry, I might be jumping on your train of thought, but what do you think makes it different or worse for South Asian women? Because obviously that whole safety thing, that affects all women, let's be honest. We're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
We are all worried for our safety. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is, which is a bit shit, let's be honest. But I'm sure every woman has that kind of thought process if stepping out well, to be honest, any time of day, but especially at night. But what do you think makes it, or does it make it worse being South Asian? And are there different kind of fears or worries that are associated with that? Or is that just an excuse that we use?
Do you know what? I don't think there's any different fears. I think a lot of women fear the same thing, or the same things. But I think what comes of it is the judgment, because what if something were to, obviously, touch wood, nothing, we would hope nothing would happen, but it's the thing that happens afterwards. If, say, you were to be mugged, assaulted, whatever horrible thing, if it were to happen, and it's the shame, and it's the thought that, like, what's our family gonna think, like, we or our extended family gonna think, like, so we're liberal enough to let you go out at night to go train at the gym, or to go to your swimming class, to go to your Zumba, or whatever activities you do in the evening, and then you come home and you tell us that a guy has, I don't know, spoken to you in a certain way, or you've been attacked or something, and it's like, what is everyone else going to think of you, instead of, oh my god, are you okay? Like, you've literally done nothing. You've walked past someone, or I don't know, maybe someone tried to get your attention and you didn't give them the time of day, and apparently that's enough of a motivation for a guy to want to do. But it's like, I don't know, you become a victim of something that it wasn't even your fault, kind of thing. So it's the whole blame, and then it's feeling that what's the word, that guilt, that, oh, I shouldn't have gone out, it was my fault. When, well within your rights to go out at whatever time you want. You could go out right now, you can go out at 12 at midnight. If we lived in a perfect world, you could do that and there would be no shame and there would be no stigma attached to that. But we don't. We also lived in a very good South Asian community as well. So
I think that's a very, very good point. You always just end up blaming yourself.
That comes with it.
So. Yeah, agreed. So I guess you are trying to start a movement though. So brown girls lifting. So obviously there are I suppose women in general are again, a little scared of lifting for whatever reason. They think they're going to turn into like bodybuilders overnight or whatever. So yeah. Yeah. So there's that to contend with, but also I suppose there are South Asian women that want to do it, but again, coming back to it, will be seen as not doing the right thing, or maybe aren't allowed. So what's the idea behind Brown Girls Lifting, and what are we trying to you trying to do? Yeah, I would just jump on a bandwagon and say,
no, you're Brown Girls Lifting came off the back of my thesis, like I mentioned, which actually I finished that last year. And I don't know, I think Brown Girls Lifting was something that was waiting to happen. Like, for me, it was like when it all started, it was like the penny dropped. Everything became so relevant. All the research I had done, all of that stuff, it just became so relevant. But it stemmed from representation and not seeing enough people that look like me or look just like brown women of color in the, I wouldn't even say fitness industry, I would extend it and just say the whole sporting sector. I think, with representation, I think it's so important. I think it's one of the most foundational components of building like more athletes, more participants, just more of anything in terms of sport. There's this, I can't remember who said it, but there's this saying, it's like, can't see, can't be. If you can't see someone doing something, what makes you think that's even going to cross your mind, kind of thing. For me, in terms of like representation, not even for me actually, for other women, when it comes to representation and the research that I have been doing, that was a big thing, is that if I can't see, a brown woman, a tall brown woman, a short brown woman, a curvy, a plus size, a petite, any size, just a woman of color in the media, how is that going to encourage me to want to do something, kind of thing? I mean, it's not the only motivation, but it is one part, and it is one factor that influences participation. So Brown Girls Lifting came off the back of all of that research, representation, and wanting to break the stereotypes and stigmas within the community. And just with the whole brown, it encompasses women of color. So as much as I am a South Asian woman, there are, things that I have to overcome. I know that in other minority communities, there's also other stigmas that I may not necessarily know about, which I want to learn about and see how, Brown Girls Lifting can help there. So yeah, that's kind of a scope, I hope, of Brown Girls Lifting.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And actually, I know you saw it, and I posted on Instagram yesterday, I think, agreed. So for me, maybe about a year ago, so I've always been what I would call a weed, right? I'm a total, like, absolute, seriously weedy person, right? No strength, no stamina, no nothing. Probably in part to my pizza diet growing up, like literally pizza and chips for 20 years. So I only have myself to blame, but I kind of was like, okay, but I can do something about this, right? This is completely in my control. So let's go on this journey, right? I am no longer living with my parents. I don't have to worry about when I go to the gym, how I go to the gym, what I do at the gym, and, coming back at, even if it's like 7 o'clock, it's just like, I don't have to deal with it. So I was like, right, cool. I can do this. Let's go. And I've been on this kind of journey, and let's be honest, being a weed, I want to get stronger, right? As naturally. But you're right. I have not really seen brown women weightlifting or doing anything like that. Mm-hmm. And when I came across your stuff, I was like, yes, okay, this is okay. I haven't just like created some weird thing in my head that it's totally okay for me to be doing this. I'm not the only one. Mm-hmm. And when I think like I'm alone, it's not the case. So that was a really long-winded way of saying that I completely agree. And I am incredibly grateful. And yes, representation does matter. It shows you that it is possible, that you're not alone, and that you're not just making crap up. Mm-hmm. So yes, I appreciate it.
I think with me, it's like, because I didn't like I mentioned, I did used to swim on a competitive basis. Looking at competitive swimmers, I don't really remember seeing any that I looked up to that looked like me. I looked up to a lot of black athletes, namely because of their prowess and their athletic capabilities. To me, that inspired me. Just seeing a swimmer just bolt completely, and seeing like athletics and seeing like different sports people, the movement is what inspires me. It's not necessarily that I see someone that looks like me. So for me, it comes from a mindset perspective, but I know for other women that may not necessarily be the motivation, and that is okay. Everyone is different, and that's okay. So in terms of like, even I know you mentioned earlier about, you know, looking muscly and having that whole stigma. I know with generation, like with the whole older generations, they would say, why are you going to the gym? You're going to be all muscly and it's going to affect like your fertility, and it's going to some, sorry, I'm not going to swear, some nonsense.
Yes. You're okay.
They'll come out with some nonsense, and it's like, you are so misinformed. And the one thing as well, I've studied sport on a physiological basis as well, and a developmental basis as well. So it's like, everything that you're saying, there's no evidence. There's literally nothing that backs up exercising and going to the gym with affecting your level of fertility. If anything, it might even just improve it because of the amount of hormones and the amount of like good stuff going on in your brain and your body. So I think for me, it's showing women that, look, I am working out, I am lifting weights, and I'm fine. I'm not, I mean, I'm still very young, but I doubt, you know, that's going to affect my ability to have children. Or not even I doubt, it's not going to have an effect on my ability to have children. It's not going to make me look manly. And you know what? If I look manly, then I look manly. It makes me feel good. Like lifting, it's about what it makes you feel, not about how it makes you look, in my opinion. I know some people might say, well, I want to look a certain way, and that's okay. That might be your initial motivation, because I think with a lot of people that tends to be their initial motivation. It's like, I want to trim this, or I want to build this, or I want to do this and that. But I think the further along you get into your fitness journey, you start to realize this is making me feel good, and that's what becomes addicting. And it's a good kind of addiction, because, you know, it's good for your body, and you have to respect and take care of your body. So I'm all for self-development. So
Yep, you and me both. Here's the Indian double standard, though. I don't want you to go to the gym or exercise, but they need a slim daughter because they need to get her married off. So does someone want to explain that one to me?
I don't think I'm the person to explain it.
Okay.
I don't know how that works. I really
don't. I was sitting with my grandma a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was. It was in the last month in the garden. And like, I'm fully aware there are areas on my body that are a little fatty, right? But overall, I'm not fat. I'm pretty. I'm happy with myself for the most part. And right, we're just sitting out, and my grandma turns to me and gives me this look. And after she's finished, you know, telling me about all the spots on my face, then she kind of looks down and goes, "Do you even exercise?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "Yeah, you know, look at a bit fat on the arse." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, thanks. I really, really appreciate that. That was lovely." And and then when I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the gym," she's like, "All you care about is muscles. When are you going to get married?" And I'm like, "Oh, can I win? Can I win here?" Sorry, that's me going back to therapy.
No, that's okay. It makes sense. I'm sure lots of women can relate to that. A lot of women can relate to that.
And I think it is 100% a generational thing, because my mum would never in a million years say that. And again, my grandma's not doing it from a mean place, and I totally understand where it's coming from. From her point of view, it's my duty as a grandmother is to kind of get you married, see you married off, and I want to see you married and happy and this and that and the other. And I understand where she's coming from, so I can still get mad, but like I know it's ultimately coming from a good place, right? She's like, I want to be able to get you married while I'm still alive. So I understand. But ultimately, like, why don't you just make me happy when you're talking to me? Because that's what I'm going to remember. Anyway.
Exactly. I think it's that whole old school mentality there where marriage was the goal.
Yeah.
Nowadays, marriage isn't. Well, you can argue, you can kind of agree to disagree here, but I don't think marriage is the goal nowadays. Women are like way beyond that. I think a lot of women have got other goals, and like, how do I describe this? It's like, I understand why you'd want to see me married and why you want me to have children, because you want to have grandkids and stuff like that. Like, that's, I mean, it's a lovely thought. It is still such a lovely thought, but we're women, and we have free will, and we make our own choices. Our goal in life is not to be married off, or our goal in life isn't to be educated, get a good education, find a good job, get a good husband, children, settle down. It's not, we don't live in that type of society anymore. And I think especially with like with brown women and stuff like that, I think breaking away from that can be very hard for the older generation to see, because it's not what they're used to. It's like, well, hold on, she's making her own decisions, she's doing her own thing. Like,
whoa, I'm losing control. Yeah.
What's going on? Kind of. But, no, I love that women are making their own decisions, and it's not just brown women. I think across the spectrum, it's really good to see, and it's really nice to see that women are taking a hold of their lives and wanting to be more productive, and wanting to make use of their skill and their time on this earth as a good human being. So
out of interest, do you think that, again, more brown women are worried about themselves going to the gym, and especially I'm talking the weights area, because of the men that are there? Now, I know a lot of this touches on all females and not just women of color, but do you think there's an extra added thing there because, someone might see me maybe, or those kind of things?
That's definitely a thing that could be involved. I think it's just the idea of like, I don't know how to describe it. Let me try and find the words. I don't know, maybe it's like, he shouldn't be looking at me, or something like that, or, you know, I'm a brown woman, and like, it's so difficult to describe. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but no, I think there's definitely the whole weights thing, the whole being in the weights area with men is definitely a daunting thing, especially if you haven't done it before. So I know with some women, they've never been in a weights room, not in a weights room, like previously they would never have done exercise and been in a male dominated area. So then to go in a weights area, to be surrounded by all these men, can be very, very daunting, especially with Asian women. Like I said, I was very heavily involved in swimming and just in sport in general from a very young age. I was exposed, kind of thing, to a mixed environment of males and females. Sport is quite a male dominated thing, so namely more males. So I'm kind of like used to being in that environment where there's a lot of ego, a lot of just masculinity, and just, I was going to use another bad phrase there, sorry. It's one of my favorite phrases, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay, tell me afterwards.
But yeah, no, I think because for me, I was exposed to that, and I kind of understand how to handle it ish. To me, it's kind of just second nature. But to some women, where they haven't been, namely South Asian women, if they haven't been involved in sport from a young age because they haven't been allowed to, because of the stigmas behind, you know, being 13 years old, running around wearing a pair of shorts playing football, then you're not going to be exposed to that environment, for one. So you don't exactly know what you're getting yourself into. And then when it comes to, say, later on in life, when you're in your 20s, 30s, going into the gym, into a male dominated environment, it's going to throw you off. And being in a gym, it's just full of, especially the weights area, it's just full of masculinity and just ego, and just, I could go on. It's full of just nonsense, really, and I think that's enough to throw a woman off. And sometimes you get the unsolicited comments. I got one yesterday, really, 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 like, got to me, and that's enough to put a woman off from wanting to go into the gym. And say if, for example, there's a South Asian woman lifting, and a South Asian guy comes up and says, "What are you doing here?" or calls her out for whatever reason. It's so horrible, and it's so like it taints your confidence. And for one, putting your foot through the door in the gym is the first step, and that is the biggest step you'll take, if I'm honest, because it's a new environment. It can be very, very daunting, and then for someone to come and just call you out, for one, because you're, I say if a brown guy was to call you out, or just any guy to call you out, it's just it kind of hurts your confidence, and it just knocks you back a little bit, and you're making your progress, you're going one step forward, but now you're taking two steps back. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but
I can't even remember the question.
No, what were we talking about? Yeah, but
no, it does. Yeah. No, I was in the gym. I think I was on a treadmill. I was probably jogging. I don't call it running. I definitely don't run. But I remember this guy next to me kind of after however long turned to me and went, "Oh, you're doing well for a girl." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, thanks. Good conversation." Yeah. But you raised another good point. Clothes, gym wear. Now, this I imagine is quite a big thing for women of color, because, well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Those aren't the type of clothes that, say, your grandparents or even parents these days, let's be honest, it's not just one generation, it's across the board, don't want women in if they're in your own family, because, they're backwards and they think we're putting them to shame. So does that stop people?
Definitely. I think you should be able to dress how you want to dress. If you want to wear a baggy outfit or baggy shorts and a t-shirt, wear that if that makes you feel comfortable. If you want to wear, a more tight-fitted outfit or sports bra, have, be able to feel a bit more kind of air on your skin, if that makes sense. Like if you want to dress like that, you should be able to dress like that without having to worry about, oh, I'm showing skin, I'm not being modest. I don't know where covering up and stuff like that and modesty, I don't know how those two things came about, because the way you dress does not define who you are, the way you act, what you know, or anything like that, or your ability as a lifter or as whatever it is. So that stigma in itself, like you said, is just stupid and backwards, and but clothing definitely does play a big part in it. And I think, again, going back to my research, one of the things that came up was the idea of adolescence and clothing. So when you hit that certain age, wearing shorts or wearing maybe a t-shirt that might be a little bit tight is deemed inappropriate, because if you're wearing shorts, you're showing skin. If you're wearing something tight, you've got your bust area that people can see, or even just wearing something like this where you're showing your neck. It's apparently wrong. But how else am I supposed to do activity? How am I supposed to exercise? And say if I don't want to wear a baggy t-shirt and shorts, like say if that gets me really hot and flustered, and I want to be able to exercise without having to worry about feeling hot and flustered because of my clothing, kind of thing. So I think, yes, clothing does impact the way women want to exercise, and I think it's quite liberating as well. If you want to wear something, you should be able to wear what you want to wear whilst you're exercising for your own benefit. It doesn't matter what other people think, but it's mentally getting over that, because for a long while, I mean, I was kind of like that. I was like, I don't really want to wear a sports bra and leggings, because I feel like it, like I said about modesty, I don't think it's modest. But now it's completely different. I wear what I want to wear because I'm comfortable, and I mean, I look good in it too.
Yes, it's kind of the point, right?
Something. If you know you look good in it, wear it. It don't matter. It don't matter. If it makes you feel good, wear it. So yeah. That's my message.
Yeah, no, 100%. So women are still really not allowed to go to the gym though. So what are some of the other reasons perhaps that they might not be allowed or be severely frowned upon? And what would you say to them?
I had one break. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Reasons, I would say, male dominated space for one, clothing be another one. The whole idea that another good one actually is, you know, when you take leisure time and you go do something on a recreational basis, whether that's going to the gym or doing physical activity, you're away from your family, so you're not taking care of your family. So there's that one as well. Say if you want to pursue something on a competitive basis, let's just say you've started to get into weightlifting at the gym, and you're like, oh, I want to enter this powerlifting competition, or just even like a little Sunday deadlifting competition, whatever it is. It's the whole you're committing yourself to another thing that isn't your family. So there's that. And say if there's like a family gathering or thing that you always do on Saturday, you're moving away from your family. I can't remember what the word is, but it's like you're going away from your culture, your traditions, and you're moving towards another culture kind of thing, or another way of life, or another,
Yeah.
you know, just something extra. So I think that's frowned upon. Safety would be another one with the gym. Yeah, I think I'm sure there's a lot more.
Okay, so we've covered most of them. Good. Most of them. So I guess for someone who wants to get into this, or not just wants to maybe go to the gym and start weightlifting, but doesn't necessarily have those barriers, but is just maybe scared or hasn't done it before. What would you kind of say to them? Where should they start? What's a good entry kind of point, and how do they start their kind of fitness journey?
I think there's quite a few ways about getting into the gym, or even just getting into into those physical movements that you would do at the gym. If you're really really anxious and you're just really not feeling it, I would recommend just doing a few home workouts and maybe mirroring some of the things that you would do at the gym at home. Because if you're someone who's not sure of what to do at the gym, whether that's how to squat or how to do, I don't know, a push up, or how to do whatever movement that you could do at home that you could also do at the gym, become confident in the actual movement before you think about the environment. So that's one thing that I would recommend doing. So, you know, getting onto the whole home workout thing. You could find plenty of workouts online and on YouTube. I think lockdown has showed that. You can find a lot of things on the internet. And it's on my page as well.
Exactly. There we go.
So, yeah, you can find a lot of home workouts that are really really beneficial. I think also going to the gym with a friend, or someone who has some sort of knowledge, or even some sort of, if they already have a routine of going to the gym, maybe asking them, can I tag along for this one session, see what you do. Another thing which I would recommend, but you have to do your research with, is getting a personal trainer who knows their stuff, who really really knows their stuff. I'm not really going to get into that one because I mean, I didn't get into the gym through a personal trainer or anything like that. I kind of just went with it, and that was me. But yeah, and I think another one is actually finding it in yourself. Because say if you don't have a friend who also wants to go to the gym, you do have to pluck that courage up. It is a really big moment for you, and if you know you're naturally anxious, or if you're an unsure person, you have to really find it in yourself. And I think one thing that sticks with me is that if you really really want something, if you really want to start making those steps towards that goal, you will do anything to get there. So whether that's the first step, getting your foot in the door of a gym, or getting into that weight section. Let's say there's no female only weight section, say it's just one big weight section. Just even stepping into there is a start, and that's the confidence boost that I think people need to embrace. You really do need to embrace that confidence. Another thing I would recommend is going to the gym when it's quiet. I know that does help with a lot of people, because you know you can be kind of paranoid and worried if like guys are looking. More time or not, guys, they're not looking. It's just it's that fear of being watched. Totally normal. It's totally normal. But I think you need to be quite headstrong, and you need to remember why you are walking into the weights area, why you're walking into the gym in the first place. It's not to be afraid from these men. If anything, it's to do the opposite. It's to go there to get, to get in the weights area, to do your thing, kind of thing. So yeah, I think those are quite useful. Another one that I still do this: have a plan, write it down on a bit of paper, on your phone, whatever it is. Always have a plan, always know what you're doing, and know like the next step. And even just understanding the layout of your gym is actually really helpful psychologically, because if you know, like, right, after these squats I'm going to go over to, I don't know, the leg press, you know exactly the route you have to take. You don't have to worry about looking anywhere like, oh my god, where is it?
Yeah.
He's looking at me, she's looking at me. You know, right, squat rack's there, leg press is there, it's a straight line. It needs to be the thing. So having an understanding of your having a spatial awareness is really, really useful. I feel like I'm just listing like loads.
That's cool. I think they were good. I think that's enough for people to get started for sure. So closing comments. Is there anything we've missed, or something you want to say, or a message that you want to get out there?
The message I want to get out there is more from a confidence standpoint. Often and they can do it. They can lift these weights. They can do these things. It's just their confidence is lacking, and it takes time to build. We know this. I mean, my confidence is still growing in certain areas, but I think it's to embrace that, and to embrace the little wins, the small wins, because I think that's what's going to help boost your confidence, and it's what's going to develop you into a lifter that you want to be. These things don't happen overnight. We know this. We know it doesn't happen overnight. But if you can start, embracing the little wins and the small changes, I think that's going to get you one step closer each time. And also, tunnel vision. One thing, if you're going to take anything from this, and if you want to get into the gym, is tunnel vision. Yeah, your parents are going to tell you something. Yeah, your relatives and this, that, and the other. They're going to say stuff, especially if you're from, a household or, that background where you're constantly being told things. But it's having that tunnel vision and knowing, I want to get fitter and better to improve my life. This isn't about them. This is about me. So having that tunnel vision and staying focused and staying on track. And yeah, just be focused. So
yeah, because let's be honest, people are going to have a problem either way, so you might as well be happy and let them have a problem than be unhappy and let them have a problem. And I guess last point from me is brown girls lift. So get out there and get to the gym, right? You're not on your own. There are people out there that are doing it, and don't feel like you're alone. Finally, where can people find you?
So I have Instagram, so you can find me at Stay Peachy Bro. That's my handle. I have a Facebook page. I'm not very good with it. Again, same, Stay Peachy Bro. So it's those two, but mainly I'm very, very active on Stay Peachy Bro. So yeah, if anything, hit me up on that.
Perfect. Yes, please go and follow Riana. She has some awesome content, a genuine inspiration, and give me a few months and I'll be doing them pull-ups too. I'm on it. But no, Riana, thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed this talk, and really appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. I'll be back same time, same place next week. Have a wonderful week, guys. Bye.